Alrighty, figured I'd give y'all a little update on the Bronco. I've been cleaning it up, mostly trying to get it less disgusting from sitting out in the woods. I put a new brake booster on there, and even though it looks like shit, they just didn't paint it. I should have painted it before I put it on there, but it's not hard to take out. It's literally 4 bolts on the back. Pull the master cylinder off, take it off and paint it. Not a big deal. I've got to do that anyways because I'm going to be changing the master cylinder. I also found on this plug, looks a little melted, so I'm going to put a new pigtail on that. And new brake line time, so replacing all the hard lines running from the ABS controller to all 4 wheels. So I got this off of Jeff's Bronco Graveyard.com. It was like $150, and I bought the upgraded one. It was like $140 for the stock ones. These are stainless steel, so they're not going to rust out. And they got little protective coating and all that good stuff on them. They look to be good quality. You can still bend them if they're a little off, so that's cool. Got the new rubber lines for the calipers. These were like $10 a piece or $15 a piece on Bronco Graveyard. Might be able to get those at the auto parts store, but I couldn't find any of these at the auto parts store. Everything that they have that shows up for it says it's not available to be ordered. Ordered the new dash bezel to go in. This one's just shitty. So I'm finding out little things about this truck. So this is the rear defroster, and it goes right there. You can see I broke it. I tried to cut it out, and it's just so brittle, it snapped. So this is not the original bezel for this truck, and neither was the cluster. The way I knew that is because it didn't work, and I took it all apart and realized it wasn't even screwed down or plugged in. The person also had owned an identical year F-150, so he started pulling all the good parts off of this and putting it onto his truck and swapping them out. So I bought a new cluster off of eBay. It's got like 250,000 on the cluster. I really don't care. So this is the old cluster, and funny thing was the back side of the new one was green. This one is orange, and it may have come that way, but in my opinion it's probably from water damage. Plus it was cracked up at the top. So I did plug it in, and everything was working except for the odometer. So, and you can see the water damage on the odometer right there, all that black stuff. So next step, I'm going to pull the brake booster off, paint it, replace all the brake lines. I'm going to put new pads, calipers, and I guess shoes on the drums. But it runs great. In the previous video, I showed you guys that I tore the entire top of the engine down. Realized the intake manifold gasket was broken in many places. The throttle body gasket was only half of it on there. That would explain a lot of the air leaks. The PCV valve in the back was broken off, which is why I couldn't figure out where this tube went. So once I took it apart, and then I realized all the vacuum pump or the air pump, whatever it is for the emissions, that was not attached to anything, and all the vacuum lines in the back of the engine were detached. Plugged it all in. It runs a lot better. Put all new injectors, put a new blower motor in for the air conditioning and the heat. New DPFE sensor, new throttle body position sensor. I'm sorry, that's the idle air control. And then under here is the throttle body position sensor down there. So I replaced it all with Motorcraft. I put some Chinese parts on here, and it made it much worse. So next steps after the brakes, I'm probably going to be putting new coils on there. And it's already got a new distributor. I have to switch the gear on the distributor because this engine is from the 1980s. It needs a cast iron gear on the distributor because it's got a tappet cam, which from what I understand, if you put the steel gear on there, it's going to chew the cam up to hell and back. So that's something y'all need to keep in mind if you ever put a older engine in one of these newer Broncos. So it hasn't hurt it just from running, but apparently down the road it will start to tear it up, or potentially could, and I'd rather not destroy the camshaft in this. New battery cables. I just put a new starter on it too, so it's a lot better than it was. The old starter, I thought the engine was hard to turn over, and it was just the starter getting slow. And the reason I say I thought the engine was hard to turn over, it could have been something on the belt line that was seizing up, or, you know, it could have been anything else. When I first got the truck, the engine was frozen solid. I couldn't get it to turn over with a breaker bar this tall. And I finally got it free, but it runs good. Just got to get the brakes straight, change the oil, put a new water pump on, because once it hits operating temperature, it likes to leak back up in here. And if I want to take it off, I'm going to replace it. So I'm going to put a new thermostat while I'm at it. This engine's out of a E150 van, and it was a bitch getting the timing right, because this is the timing for this truck, and being under the impression before I asked the owner exactly what was going on here, I had it set to that timing, so did he. No one could get it to run. It did shoot flames about 4 feet out of the intake right here, and it blew up the EGR line. But the timing for this engine is the older timing. It's the 187 whatever the hell, and this is the 137. Switched that around. It ran like shit. So went down here and swapped the 4 cylinders that were off from each other, and made sure that I put male and female connectors, so that if it ever were to have the right block installed, you can just switch them back around. Once I'm done with all that, I'm going to put new downpipes, new cat, new no muffler. I'm going to have duals with I believe I'm going to do an X pipe or H pipe. I can't remember which one it is, but whatever they used on the Mustangs gives it more sound. And I may go ahead and change the exhaust manifolds, put some thinking about putting some hooker headers or something like that on there. But you can see down there where it should be a bolt in the header, a couple of these are missing, and one of them is broken off in the block. So I'd probably have somebody do that, because every attempt I've ever taken at trying to get a broken off bolt out just results in more damage. So, and shops have some pretty good quality tools usually. The stuff that I can get at the auto parts store likes to strip out, and I don't want to spend $200-300 on a decent set for 2 bolts. So I'll probably end up paying that to the mechanic. Anyway, but yeah, and then I'm going to order all new hoses for the radiator. Just trying to bring this thing back to life. So far it runs good. I did drive it. That's when I found it didn't have any brakes. It's got a bit of power for the older 5.0. I was surprised it could actually, you know, spin tires, things like that. And it'll do for now. One of these days, my ultimate goal is to, for BT, come and swap this engine, or maybe even put a 6-cylinder. Don't know yet. I know with the 6-cylinder, it's a lot heavier. You got to upgrade the suspension. So we'll just see where that road takes us. This old truck over here, I finally got the new window in. Got to get all this duct tape off of here, but the new window's in. I ordered this off Jeff's Bronco Graveyard. The whole frame assembly, everything was like $50, but this little lower track is supposed to be glued to the window, and it wasn't, so I couldn't get the damn window to close, and found out that was the reason. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So the window works fine now, but this track, you see the gap right in here, and this was much lower, and it wouldn't let the window close. I pushed it up with some clear JB weld, closed the window, propped a couple business cards in there to hold it tight, and that did the job. So, yep, I'll check back in. I'm gonna upload some shorts of this thing running, and as I go with the brake job, anything I come across that might be helpful for you guys. Thanks for watching.